I think that's why street racing was so cool back then, because I was talking about this earlier with someone. It's like back then you could take a slower car and beat a bigger, badder, big dog car, and that was a huge accomplishment.
Right.
Like, I don't want to win a race that my car is just a better car and that's it. Like, I want to be like, yo, I busted that dude's ass because I outdrove him. I left before him. My car's slower and I still beat him. You know, like,
right.
That was what it was after. And, you know, like we say it now, you know, any two cars could race. Back then, that's how it was. Like, you know, if you felt that you needed something, you asked for a car, in the break, you asked for whatever, and you did whatever you had to do to race, but these guys would race. There was no social media. You weren't scared to have a video posted that you lost and all that. If you lost, you came back sometimes the next day, sometimes the same night, and you ran the person again. You know, you'd go change your nitrous jets, you do whatever. But the competition was just different. It was a whole different game. Social media changed, you know, the racing scene a lot, and a lot of it was for the better.
Yeah.
But it also, there's a lot of dudes that hide behind it.
I agree. I agree. I think a lot of people are scared to, you know, like you said, post their losses.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you really race, I tell people this all the time. Like, if you really race and you really love racing and you're really into it, you have to learn how to lose, and you have to lose with pride. Because if you race enough, you're gonna lose. And honestly, if you race enough, you'll probably lose more than you win. Like, you know?
Yeah.
And back then, nobody was scared to lose. Like, yo, I have this thing I say all the time. Like, if I'm racing and the person next to me, the car next to me, whatever, that man gotta show me. Like, it does not matter.
Right.
And that's how it was. That's the era that I come from. Now it's like, oh, no, like, these guys want guaranteed wins, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, nah, man, these guys are going to roast me on social media. Like, man, all that. That man got to show me. We got to race. And that's how it was.
So were the forums pretty popular? Like, how did people kind of get word of, like, who's winning, who's the top
No, that was just, I mean, street stuff was just street stuff.
Okay.
Like, it wasn't really like that. Like, for me, I got on Supra forums in probably like 2000, 2001 or something like that. And honestly, it was a whole different world. Those guys weren't really talking about street racing. It wasn't really a thing. And like, even when they did, it was more like highway roll racing stuff.
Yeah.
Where, you know, in the city in Long Island, like, the guys that I was around, we would all race from a stop. They would shut down the highways and they would race. They would get, I mean, all over the place.
Right.
Yeah.
So you weren't doing any roll racing back then?
I wasn't doing a damn thing.
Okay.
I was a promoter.
Gotcha. So
I was the little kid that I was really, really passionate about this stuff, which I still am. And like, I would, you know, it's funny, the old school guys that know me, they would literally say that I've always been a promoter, because if you wanted to see a race happen and I knew about it, or if I wanted to see a race happen and it was two, you know, sometimes it would be two guys that just, they don't want to race each other because they're friends, or they don't want to race each other for whatever reason, I'd get them to race.
So what would you do? Give me an example of what you would say.
I would say whatever I had to say. Yo, you two should race tonight, whatever. And whatever they would say, I would give them the reason they should do it. And I would tell them they were being a punk or a or whatever. I used to get after it. I mean, and like, don't get me wrong, like, I've grown obviously a lot since then.
Yeah. This is years ago.
But I do the same thing now as a race promoter. I talk shit. We just had the reunion race a couple weeks ago at Bradenton.
Yeah.
And I was online calling out everybody under the sun who wants to do something in qualifying, who wants to gamble, who wants this. We're going to send this dude home first round. Like, I do the same thing now, just in a different setting.
Right. It's more like business oriented now.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I think why I'm good at what I do is because I do enjoy it. But it's the same thing. It's literally like the same thing I was doing when I was a loudmouth 12-year-old kid calling people out for my dad or for his friends or whatever. And like, I used to get races like popping, like, for real. I still do that.